Hey everybody, this is Way to Fail, back with more Kerbal Space Program with the 0.22 update in career mode, where for those of you who missed it last time, we did finally get a first mission out and did upgrade our research and development slightly. Now this is the tech tree for those of you who may have missed it before, and right now we've gone for survivability and stability and gotten a few key parts, such as a radial decoupler and such as the LV909 engine and radial parachutes. All very important. The next thing I'm gunning for is science tech, so I can get a rechargeable battery. That's really going to let me extend my missions. Plus the SC Science Junior will let me do even more science and get more science per mission, which is always nice. Now I am hoping that I will get solar panels out of one of these eventually, and chances are it's going to be sometime after science tech. But at least if I get batteries, I can send more data as I go. So let's go to the hangar to show the next mission. So I did design a ship already for this next mission, and you can see that I've used a lot of parts here and changed some of my design concepts from before. First off, we do have the nose cones on here because those actually do work, supposedly now with aerodynamics. And I'm curious to see how that works. I don't have struts, but I've tried to place the radial decouplers, which there are 4, in a place where they will actually help the ship kind of pull or keep the ship together, keep it pretty stable. I also have dorsal fins on there, and maybe I should actually put those on the main unit, but I'd prefer to dump the weight and have this engine be more efficient. Another key thing is you see even plenty of Kerbal still crawling around down here, is that I have the LV engine here as well as, and these are kind of oddly placed, but they should be okay, landing struts. And I don't necessarily like how those landing struts are floating, but we'll see how they do. Key thing is that I want to keep all of my science alive this time. I'm going to be making a, not just a splashdown landing or anything, I actually want to land on land. Preferably, I'm going to try today to do an orbiting mission and land in the desert or the ice caps or the mountains, just so I can get some different terrain observations from the air and from below. But let's go ahead and launch this and get this episode started. But before we do, Jeb, you had a good flight last time. I am trying to get used to cycling my crew. This time we're going to be putting Bill Kerman in there, because Bill, you're the man. You're a grunt. You're there to test experimental spacecraft, and we're just going to see how you do today. Alright, so as with other videos, there will be some times later where there are more time accelerated portions. But at least for now, what we're going to do is just have these guys go ahead and go on up. I'm going to try and submit some experiments and transmit some data while we're in flight early, because I do have these engines. This ship should be enough to get into orbit, but it's going to be a little close. I got to actually watch my fuel output here, because there's no solid boosters, because the solid boosters, while good, they don't recharge my electrical charge, so I can't necessarily do everything I want with it. So let's go ahead and get everything ready to rev up and fly. Okay, so we are in the air, and we're just going to go ahead and observe the goo and transmit. And it wobbles while it flies. Crew report while in the air. Transmit that. I think these are all things I've done before, but right now we're just trying to pump in extra science as much as we can, and I'm going to do like the old days with doing this kind of stuff, as my ship's pretty stable, which is a relief, and once I get up to about 150 meters per second, we're just going back to basic orbiting 101. I want to try not to be inefficient with my fuel use, so I'm not going to try and push much over 150 meters per second until I get further in the air, about 10,000, 12,000 meters, and we can push from there. But right now, just kind of slowing, decelerating. Probably could be going a little faster, but I'll let the air resistance catch up to me momentarily, because I do want to have a good amount of fuel. You can see right now my Apple Apps is not terribly happy with me. So we do need to accelerate a little bit, as I am starting to go up, and I'm going to be pitching to the right pretty soon, or to the 90 degrees. I know there's like aft and all that stuff, but we'll get there when we get there, so we're going to not totally accelerate yet. We're at 10,000. Let's start our gravity turn. Gravity turn ever so slowly, and once we get to about the 90 degree here, yeah, this is what we're going to do. Just up and straight to orbit. Let's go ahead and observe the goo again. Try to. And we're just going to do a crew report again. send that out. These are all things I've done before, and there are diminishing returns on it, but at this point, my worry is that I'm not going to have enough fuel to really get super high up in the air here. We'll see. I'm going to burn out my engines as best I can. So I want to get about 50,000. If I can get up to 50,000. Okay, add a maneuver. We're going to have to... Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, we're going to have to burn right away here. So let's go ahead and ditch these. Hopefully things don't hit my ship. And let's just go ahead and burn. Now I have a lot of burning that I got to do here, but I should have enough delta V to make it beyond here. Because I'm just trying to set up a pretty nice orbit. And we'll see. I don't even think I did particularly well here. Because we want to have a high orbit, so I actually need to pull the hell up. Okay, so this is not going too great so far. Should have probably just eyeballed this first, but right now, can I keep my periaps at bay? 50,000. I didn't have my SAS on here, so we gotta burn up above the horizon. It's not the most efficient burn, but right now I'm looking for altitude, and I am in a higher part of the atmosphere. So are we going to do it? 25 seconds, as long as I can keep that ahead of me. 24 seconds. I think we're going to be okay. It's going to be a messy orbit, but what can you do at this rate? When you have cheapy engines, we ran into this before in my careerish mode series, where trying to use this engine because it's cheap doesn't necessarily mean it has a high thrust. And in fact, if anything, the thrust may be getting a little bit worse here. So 10. I think we're going to be okay. I probably should start burning towards the horizon though. Alright, so worst case is that we just have to refly this. I didn't do so hot here. But now we're just going to try and burn to the periaps and see what we can do just to straighten out orbit. This is a low orbit, but I do have enough fuel to where if I can push this beyond where we're going, and I don't think I'm going to, this could be a splashdown, which would suck so bad. Alright. Because all we're trying to do today is to get into orbit and land. Question is now, can we do it? I don't really want to EVA while accelerating, but we are going to go ahead since we are with the goo here. We're going to hold on to this. It's very cold. We want to get higher in the atmosphere potentially, and right now I think my ballistic arc is going straight into the ocean, maybe beyond, I don't know. Yeah, I am losing altitude, so we are going to be losing this mission, unfortunately. I'm not even going to make it to land, I don't think. So we got to fly this. We got to fly the ship a little better. Maybe even throw some more fuel for the first stage on there. So Bill, you're going to be getting some valuable science here, but we're going to do another attempt at this because right now there's really not too much else to do other than be disappointed and hope that we can make it to the, let's see, that's going to take way too much delta V. Yeah, I am not making this right now. I'm not even going to make it to the land here. So this is about as unsuccessful of a mission as I had before, which stinks just a little, but I think with some extra fuel I'll be okay. Alright, so I've put a less efficient engine on the bottom here, and we'll see exactly what happens with this, but for now, let's see how it flies. Going straight up. So we're going to do the same thing we did before. I'm just hoping that maybe having more thrust will be enough, even though I'm using a less efficient engine. My goal is just to get into orbit. It's not necessarily to go anywhere. I can figure out the going everywhere thing, the going everywhere piece a little bit later. For now, though, I just got to make a rocket that'll actually let me get up into space. And because I don't have fuel lines, asparagus staging doesn't work quite as well here. But we'll go ahead and just try and burn efficiently again. We're going to make our gravity turn, hopefully not too late. But yeah, just dropping this down. Bill is looking very cautious. He does want to get up into space, but he knows that he's not the brightest person at the Kerbal Space Program, and he knows that this is an experimental aircraft. And while there is all kinds of goodies here, there's no stack decoupler to possibly remove him from the rest of the ship if necessary. So not a great place to be in, Bill, but here you are. So here we go, 8,000. Let's go ahead and just look at the map. We are slowly decelerating. Don't really want to do that. But we're decent on fuel right now, and let's just go ahead and turn. This is where having some structural stuff will be good, but for now we're not going to fight this too hard. We're just going to punch it as best we can. I want to get to the 45-degree angle of this. But stability is still a concern. And I do not like spinning like that. So we're just going to keep this up here as best we can, and we're going to dump and switch engines as soon as possible. So there we go. Almost there. Fuel tank's running out at any time now. But we're just going to ditch all this weight, because there's a lot of weight that's here. We're just going to fly off. Is this going to be enough to get us into orbit? I do not know. I do not know if this one engine is going to be the little engine that could, but it is going to push and push and push. I do have some fuel. I'm going to be burning through it real fast, though. So 50,000. We're not going to go for a super high orbit. We're going to go for about an 80,000 orbit and see if we can straighten it out from there. I may have enough fuel to do this. So maybe just switching the engines was enough for now, but I still got to figure out a way to get heavier payloads out and about. But yeah, it's getting... The ballistic arc is one thing, as we'll go up to about 85 just to keep it safe, because I do want to have some fuel here. Alright, so... How are we going? 90, 80... For a 48-second burn, I think I can do that. I think we're actually going to have an orbit here. So while we're at it, let's go ahead and observe the goo. Let's go ahead and make a crew report. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and just let him EVA briefly. Hopefully not fly off. You should really get back in your ship. That's true. So let's get back in the ship. Unfortunately, I lose my maneuver node there, so let's try this again. Biggest thing is that we'll be burning prograde. Prograde, unfortunately, is in the other direction. So yeah, when you EVA out of your ship, you do lose your nodes, but right now, Bill, looking a little scared. He's dumb and he's not the most courageous person in the world, so not necessarily the best combo to have for a space program. But we are going to be trying to land this as well. So we're almost there. We do have the one observation right here that's in the upper atmosphere. And we're going to have another observation here from space near Kerbal. Let's hold on to this, because we're going to be landing. The goal is to land this ship. We will, however, we are going to transmit this one. Alright, so missed my burn time there just a little bit. We did lose some electrical charge, but we're going to get back up to it. So we could possibly go for a high Kerbal orbit, perhaps, but for now, having that extra push on the engine is going to be key from the looks of it, because I just want to get a good orbit. It doesn't have to be a perfect orbit, and I want to orbit over some different land features as well, because you can get different observations there. And in fact, I could just try and go for a... well, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to try and do a polar orbit today. But if you do land in the polar regions, you do get different observations, different outlooks. So there we are. We have orbits. Awesome. And plenty of fuel to spare as well. So how about that? Not even using the new parts that I got to have with me. So there's the moon right there. That is probably going to be our next target. I do, like I said before, have a few house rules here, kind of from my careerish mode a little bit. Probably the main one is that for any foreign bodies, and that means stuff that's not in the Kerbal system, which means Minmus and the moon, like I'm requiring myself to send a probe instead of just sending a mission straight out. Which, with the parts I have, I could technically go to Duna right now. So let's see here. Crew report. So let's do this again. Review report. Upper atmosphere, let's transmit. And there we go. So we're going to be burning our engines just to restore this a little bit. Crew report again from space near Kerbin. Let's keep the data. Space is very much above us. Let's EVA. And we are currently EVAing above Kerbin's highlands. And that's 8 signs. And you can do this for every type of space area here, which means there is a really good desert on the poles right here. So we're going to be flying around there next. We already have an EVA over the ocean. We can get an EVA over grasslands, but I'm not sure if this is going to be the best spot for it. So we're just going to accelerate time a little bit. Don't forget that the planet's rotating as well. But yeah, we're just going to try and get as much science observation as we can. I cannot warp faster than that. And I can probably do another burn just to get into the upper atmosphere, but for now, let's see here. We are at... I don't know if this counts as highlands or not. We're going to find out in a moment. So let's just look straight down. Okay, so there we go. Grasslands, perhaps. Let's EVA again. EVA report. You get to have as many of these, as many highlands as possible. But unfortunately, I've already done that, so it's going to ask me to overwrite it. However, over the desert, that's a different report. And over the grasslands, I guess that'll need to be up there. And I do have the fuel to possibly adjust my orbit, but I'll save that for another mission. I will be launching a space station once I get the appropriate parts for it. So right now, over the desert once again, EVA. As look at there, he is... I'm not even floating out into space and leaving him to die. He's just holding on here. Kerbin's deserts. Let's take a look at that. And then board. That's easy science, guys. That's easy science to get. We're actually almost going over Kerbal again, but what we're going to do this time is just burn our periaps out a bit because I want to go further into space. I may actually have... I don't have enough fuel to get to the moon. I could possibly orbit the moon here, but that would be if Jeb was like flying this. And this is... and Bill's no Jeb. Let's just put it like that. So I am going to be able to transmit some datas here shortly. I do want to get some other research going from the higher part from the higher part of the atmosphere, or even beyond the atmosphere, just into space. So I could send a manned moon orbiting mission before this one, but I just don't think I have enough fuel for it at this point. I'm probably close, but maybe a little too close. So let's just go here, get to the right burn node. We're going to be flying over scenic Kerbal, as I missed my mark, of course. That's okay, we're just trying to make a sloppy orbit. Nothing too fancy. Let's get it about 400,000, 50. There we go. So that should be a... that should get us a little more into space, because we're not already in space, I guess you could say. And then we just get to decide where exactly do we want to land and take a sample from. I'd love to land in that desert, but I do have trouble aiming my ships on the landing. So there's the moon. Like I said, I do not think I have enough Delta V to make it to the moon. And if I were to get a moon encounter and fail that, then I'd be in big trouble. So let's see, right now we're about... Bill is pretty high up in the sky, so let's just take a look right here. We do have a few more here. And let's go ahead and crew report it again. Well, let's review the report. Let's send it. I should have enough energy for that. If not, I can burn a little more. Yeah, I'm good. Nice thing about these engines instead of the tinier ones too is that they actually add energy. So let's see here. It's very around. High space over Kerbin. Let's keep data. Let's see if the EVA reports are anything different from up here. EVA report from space. High space. You recorded observations in the situation. Well, that's nice. So that's... Bill, good job. You have even more stuff here. So that's probably maximum science for this mission. Let's find a good place where we can actually land. And now Kerbin's orbital period is going to make this a little complicated. Because I kind of want to land in the middle of the desert, but that's probably not happening. Okay. I mean, I could do a retrograde burn right now and bring this down quite a bit. But I'll probably overshoot it regardless. But you know what? Let's give it a shot. We're already in the retrograde position. Let's just actually burn it. I want to get this down to about 20. Yeah, that should do. Because we're still going to gravity decelerate. And this whole area is going to be rotating as well the whole time. So 21 minutes to get there. We'll see how this goes. I'm going to do a quick save just because I don't know. I feel like I do want to practice some of these landings a little bit, but for now, let's see what's going on because our ship is just oriented in one direction. Oh, I forgot to observe the goo in high space. Oh, there we go. We got it anyway. It's brittle! There we go. We'll hold on to that. I meant to do it in high space as well. But we have enough data. We'll have plenty of opportunities to go to high space again. So we're going to get oriented very shortly. See, you got to keep track of more things of actually doing experiments this time. Or in this range of the game, but we're just going to now rotate the ship so it's butt facing. It looks like we may or may not land in the sand here. In fact, it's probably going to be a good idea if... That's a tough call. I probably want to raise that a little bit. Like I said, you really have to eyeball it. And I'm just not... Honestly, I'm not sure what I'm doing. So, there's other videos to watch if you want to know how to do precise landings at things like Kerbal Space Center. I have not figured out that skill. But we are just going to do a quick burn just to point ourselves a little bit higher in the atmosphere. So I'm guessing I'm going to do an aero capture at about 40,000 meters perhaps. Instead of 20,000. Okay, so that's not putting my periaps exactly where I want it, but I think 30,000 is going to have to do with the way the planet's rotating. Will this put me in the desert? I'd love it if it would. I don't think it's going to. But anywhere, as long as it's on land, that's my goal. Right now we're over the ocean, or as my daughter calls it, the ocean, because she's using words now, which is amazing. But yeah, just flying deep, deep into space. Got all of our research. Really want to keep my research canisters there and intact. So we're going to see what happens here. I do have my landing legs. I really hope they're long enough. If I destroy the engine on landing, it'll be okay. I prefer not to, because that could affect the whole stability of my ship. But I do think the landing gears will be sufficient. Now I'm going to be dipping into the atmosphere in just a little bit. And like I said, I don't think this is enough to put me in the desert, but at least I will be landing on land. Unless I landed that bay, which I'll be super pissed. But I can always decelerate to affect my landing a little bit. For now, though, key thing is, there's the moon right there. I could have burned straight off of there and tried to go to the moon. Once again, just not enough fuel. Because if this rocket was more efficient, I just need to get a better launch assembly to actually get up into the sky. But for now, we are going to be having our quick tilt into the atmosphere very shortly here. And we'll accelerate time just a little bit to keep this going. So Kerbal Space Program Career Mode. Let's talk about kind of what's coming up from here. If you want to do your missions and get your tech tree filled up as soon as possible, it'll almost make it feel like Sandbox, or you want to do that. The keys are to take landing missions and take them super far away. Like you can land in Duna, you can land on Minmus and get tons of points. You could probably, even if you are patient enough, you can make a big enough rocket, take things to like the moons at Joule. But what the controlling factor is going to be later on for this is the fact that the economy is not in place yet. So we're getting a good deceleration. In fact, we may actually get that desert landing I was hoping for after all. So sweet. I did it this time. I have landed here on accident in the past. As my SAS is doing its best to keep my ship intact, I am going to be deploying the parachute here at the appropriate time. So we're landing right in the middle of the desert. Sorry, Bill. Hope you packed your water. As we actually have... Is that sort of rocky top ice cap mountains up there? Pretty nice. Whoa. Did not mean to deploy them there. How the hell did that happen? I didn't hit any buttons to do that. So there we go. We're going to stop our time acceleration here because apparently I clicked something I did not mean to click to stage. But we're going to go ahead and turn off our SAS and just let gravity take its course. Fortunately, our engines did not burn up and die. Let's go ahead and get the landing gears out as well. Are they long enough? These are the sticky things. No, they're not long enough. So if I need to... maybe I should have put a decoupler on this engine. That could have been an interesting strategy, but for now we are going to just try and land and hopefully not tilt over and break things. That's kind of the goal here. Because these little stick legs are good if you can get a smaller engine up here, but I did want to be able to orbit. So there we go. My electrical charge is waning. The ship is dropping. We're in the middle of the desert, so I will at least be able to EVA and get a desert report as well. And if the ship tips over and I don't destroy anything, that'll be extra nice. However, I have a penchant for making things explode on landing, so chances are the engine's going to be toast. Let's look at our altimeter here. We're not high up enough yet, but we can see the sky. It's midday in the desert. You have picked the wrong time to be here, Bill. But yeah, I do look forward to how they add to career mode, especially what the economy is going to do, like having a money system and a limited amount of parts, because that means you won't just be able to, hey, on my third mission, I'm going to go to Duna. You have to actually work your way up to it. But at least for now, ship is falling super fast here, but this is a desert, so it shouldn't be going that fast. All right, so there we go, 600 meters. Those parachutes always deploy at like 500 meters above. So I don't really need to slow down here as much, but we're just going to do this to be sure. Here comes the land. This is the key part here. Kind of clench your butt cheeks, Bill. Is your ship going to survive, or is there going to be a chain reaction with the fuel tank that still actually is full? We have one full fuel tank from there, so the thrust efficiency is good. Engine explosion. Are we tilting? Are we tipping? Are we tipping? Are we tipping? No, we're going to tip and we're going to destroy one of our experiments. Oh, that sucked. Oh, that sucked. That was probably the more valuable one too, wasn't it? No, we actually get to keep the mystery goo in space near Kerbal. So there we go. So I lost some science there on the end because I didn't land on a flat surface. You can see actually where some of my legs have tilted and broke based on the impact, and I could have slowed down with my engine just a little bit, but you know what? We're here. We're still inside. I think Bill can EVA if I just get all these landing legs back and rotate the ship just a little bit. Let's do it. I've done this in the past. No, so we're not even going to get a desert EVA here. That's a little irritating, but you know what? At least I managed to... I had a goal of landing in the desert, and I landed in the desert, so we'll see. Maybe I can rotate this here. No. Alright, let's recover. That's 8 science gone. So that's 8 science gone, but 51 science on the mission as a whole. I'll take that. That's just from one orbit, guys. A few orbits, judicious gathering of datas. I did lose about 5 more science from that crash landing. But look at all the observations here. Report from Kerbin's upper atmosphere, which I've done a few times. Report from high space over Kerbin. That's 5. That's 8. That's 8. That's 8. That's 10. That's 10. So I did lose out on about 13 more science. But still, good going. Let's go ahead and go to R&D real quick and call this a video. So we're at R&D. I have 103 science. The absolute next thing I am getting is survivability, because batteries and the Science Junior are really going to help extend my missions quite a bit. And here we go. We have our next set here, landing for the micro landing strut in a small gear bay. Let's see here. Oh, wow, finally a ladder after all of this time. However, it's not the big kick-out extended ladder, so you just gotta work with what you have, I guess. And then power here. Okay, there's solar panels. That's what I need. Solar panels are going to let me extend a lot of missions here, and it's going to take 90 to get up there. Now, is there anything in these other, because I have 58 science right now. These are not high priority parts. The winglet's pretty good, but let's see here. Is this high priority? Struts are important. Struts will help me keep things stable, and the radial decoupler's good for larger things, so struts could be nice. That's 45 science. You know what? If I can pack enough batteries on things, I don't really need that right now. So let's go ahead and get struts too, and that'll let us extend our ships further. And let's see what other things we have on top of here. Fuel systems. So there's where you get your fuel line. All right. So manufacturer fluid dynamic research, I guess. And later on, you'll be able to, I guess, unlock these individually with money if you want to get there, but you still have to get science to get up there. Advanced construction, so there's a lot of parts here. Structural fuselage, more decouplers, adapters. So this is where you start to get some of the docking ports here. And then over here, aerodynamics. I haven't really done a lot with space planes yet, but this will be a place to start. And I still haven't unlocked general rocketry to see what kind of goes on there. Same with flight control. It's nice that you don't have to have, this is kind of the anti some tech trees where you have to have all the prerequisites. Here you can just have one or the other instead of having both and kind of work your way that way. So pretty nice. We had an orbit and we got a lot of stuff out of it. So technically that's 2 flights. If I had wanted to go to Menmis, that mission, I could have probably designed a rocket to do that. But next mission is going to be just to see if we can get to the moon and land a craft on the moon. Now, because I don't have ladders, I don't trust my ability to actually make a ship and have my poor guy EVA on there. But at least if I can get to the moon, Menmis may actually be easier to land on, but we're going to start with the moon, then go to Menmis. See if I can have 2 ships explore that area with orbiting, with everything intact. But that's it for now. This is Way to Fail with Kerbal Space Program. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you all next time.